What up, guys? We are back. Oh my God. I was just going to mess up.
And we're back.
When we're back, best women's boxing show, period. I am Cynthia Conte and my lovely twin co-host today.
I am Jeandra LeBeauf, her co-zebra for the day. And we got a very, very special guest in the building. You may know him as the Filipino Flash, but we know him as Nonito Donaire.
I gotta do the boxing thing.
I know you got to. That's just normal.
Exactly.
Four division world champion. I mean, we got some boxing
royalty
right here. Boxing couple royalty, but man, 4 division world champion. You are the oldest to win a world champion in the bantamweight division. That. Credit to this lady right here, your wife,
100%.
Your trainer, everything. But man, we just heard your wife's story. Incredible. And I just saw that either when we first heard about you guys dating to just even how she is to where she is right now, I could just see the pride in your eyes. And it's so good to see the support.
She was hitting on me, yes. 100%.
I love how he just goes to that.
Right in.
Hey, that's it. Just, plain and simple, drop the mic, bam.
That's that warrior style of fighting.
Yeah.
Just right to the business.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, then let's just get right to it. So we want to hear your side of the story. So she said that it was you
were rude.
You were rude.
I was not rude, and I am not rude, ma'am. See, look at that with the ma'am.
Okay, so how did this happen? Let's hear your side of the story.
So we came in very late. They wouldn't let nobody in. And then Mario came in and I'm like, yo, champion, don't go in line. And then we came inside and then I saw her. I walked to her and I introduced myself. See, she never said that. I introduced myself. And then I turned around because I just wanted to say, I'm grateful to Mario to get me in. I wanted to, properly say thank you. And then when I turned around, she was gone.
She was gone?
Yeah, gone.
Like you turned around?
Yeah, like when I turned around, she was like, magic show. Now you see me, now you don't. So I was like, these girls are, I'm like, damn, I introduced myself. I'm trying to be nice, and I just want to try to be nice to Mario because he got me in, and he was very, very nice, and he wanted to talk about the magazine, and then I said, you know what, well, let's talk about that some other time, and then I turned around and.
Rachel said she was looking fine. She didn't have time for all that.
I know.
And hey, rightfully so. She looked good that day. That night she was,
Men are visual creatures.
I'm very visual.
Do you remember what she was wearing?
She was wearing all black with a little short, like what is it called? That
It's a romper.
A romper. There you go. I was gonna say onesie.
Close.
And then she had this little like her hair was this because I told her to keep it natural, but back in the day she had like low blonde streak and stuff like that, like
we always do.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I do.
So she and she was mighty fine. That's
I know that's right.
but I thought she was really like, forget this girl, but then when she came in, I was trying to look for her everywhere else, Hey, I'm just being honest, so
You married her, so it's okay.
That's right.
Did she really ask you come dance? When
Yes,
you were dancing with a bunch of boys?
Me, fellas, and there's another girl that came with us, and we're just kind of dancing in a circle and stuff like that. I'm gonna say straight out, it was just like, I'm just kind of being here and just, I'm pretty awkward when it comes down to a lot of things, So she came in, she saw me, and she This is why I said she was hitting on me, man, because she came at me, and he's like, can I, want to dance? I'm like, oh yeah, let's go dance,
Did you try to? What was your best dance move? Were you trying to impress her?
I got all. No, I did not do this. I did not do that. I was like, okay. So right off the bat, I knew she liked me. She at least that was in my head. Like, oh yeah, she likes me. I got this girl. So I came at it, and I was just like grinding up on her. I'm like, yeah. And I got her to the wall. I pushed her to the wall.
No way.
And I came up and I was like trying to kiss her.
You didn't tell us all this, Rachel.
Okay.
Whoa.
And I came in and tried to kiss her, and she was like, mouth open,
Yawning.
What?
You were not yawning. You got your eyes closed because you were yawning for 10 seconds because I was looking at you, playing with you. And you were like mouth open and everything, trying to accept my kiss, and I was just like, and then she opened her eyes, and I just like, I got you.
What a great story.
I like this version. Okay, so
Flip the book the other way.
I don't know, but you still giving me kind of shy because she had to pimp up on you
Yeah.
for to even get going. I've noticed that with a lot of fighters. Fighters are shy when they're approaching women.
Well, the thing about it is, we spend a lot of our time just boxing. I mean, there's other people out there that they're out and all that stuff, but for me, I was an introvert growing up. I was always at the house. I couldn't do nothing, so I was 100% shy. I could not come up to a girl and be like, "Hey, what's up, girl?" Blah blah blah, whatever. I have no game when it comes down to it. My game was just I was always honest. Like I like you or whatever. But I couldn't even say that. But when I knew that I just felt something with her, and I was just kind of playing with her, and then she just like took it to the other level where she's like trying to accept my kiss. I'm like, oh wow, this girl does like me. I'm like, yeah.
I like the way you move, Rachel.
Right?
The way you move.
Imagine if she never asked you to dance.
Exactly.
I know that would have been a different world.
Absolutely.
Because I would not be the person to come up to a woman and I was always intimidated by them. Like I felt like as much as I was really good in boxing, I just didn't have the confidence as a man, as a person, to go somewhere that I'm not familiar with. Like boxing, I'm familiar with. I'll spar anybody. I'll fight anybody. But when it comes down to women or anything that I don't know about, then I'm like, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep it just for women because we know he lying because we're going to talk about this picture later on in the
I
show.
know, right? Right?
He lying, but we're going to get
He's
to
a
that
jack
later.
of all trades, apparently.
All of them and excellent at it. But thank you for joining us, champ. We are super excited to talk to you.
And thank you for having me.
No, I mean, we were just saying, oh my God, you're going to be first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm telling you right now. You're what, 38 years old?
39.
39.
Turning 40 this year.
Oh, you're welcome to the 40 Club.
That's right.
Yes.
40 and fabulous.
Yes, always.
But did you ever think that you'd be in boxing this long in your career and as far as you are?
Nope. And to bring it all back, rewind it. I'd done a lot of the stuff boxing for my dad. Wanted him to be proud of me and stuff like that. And when I became world champion, when I beat Darchinyan, I was gonna retire right there because I didn't like the sport at all.
Yeah.
And because like I was gonna give it to my dad. I'm like, I got where you want me to be. I got you the belt, and that's it. I'm done. And then I met this girl. And the first thing she asked me, why do you box? I could not answer that question.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I could not answer that question. And that was the journey of what got me to become one of the best, early on, because I wanted to answer that question, why I boxed, and why, and ultimately it came to a point where, I love boxing, and then when I realized that I love boxing, that was in 2012, after the Nishioka fight, I was gonna retire right then, and it showed in the telecast where they stated that this might be my last fight and blah blah blah, and then they started feeding me more bigger fights and bigger money and all that stuff. So I just kept going, But that moment when I fulfilled my purpose, which is why I box, and the question was I love boxing, but I had to be asked that question for me to figure out who I am in the boxing world.
Yeah, I that makes sense because you've always done it for your father. So that was your purpose, was to fulfill your father's dream. But now you didn't even know why you were in it until someone had to ask you. And surprisingly, your wife.
Yeah.
Did you, when you asked him that, did you think he would be able to answer you?
No, because you could just tell, like it was like a drag, like this.
Just another boring day at the job. Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding? I live in the gym. What's wrong with you? Like, I would want to switch places with him, like, because I'm so excited to be in the gym. I'm so excited to spar. So when I saw that lack of glitter in his eyes, I guess, when he was going, I was like, literally, why are you doing this if you don't like it? Because that's only going to go for so long if you don't love what you're doing. You're going to end up leaving or hurting yourself in the process if you're doing it for somebody else or for the wrong reasons.
What was the length of time between that conversation with your wife and your next fight? And how was that next fight after that conversation different than any other fight that you'd had?
Probably half a year or so.
Yeah, but it took a while for you to answer
But
that
yeah,
question.
but
immediate.
when I it was pretty much a few years before I answered that question because, you know, as much as I was good at what I did, I was still dragging inside the gym, you know, and then it came to a point one day I was just excited, you know, and that's when I think I knew what my answer was.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
Did you always ask yourself once that question was asked, just randomly throughout the day, why do you box?
And not so much as ask that question. It was just more of when I contemplate, when I do, you know, when I'm sitting down and just thinking about what's going on and stuff like that, and that question always comes out, you know, and the more the year comes by or time passes, the more that my smile becomes bigger because now I'm starting to realize I love what I do.
Wow.
When you hear that people say that you're ultimately going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel nervous, or do you feel relieved that you found the why for yourself? When you hear people say that, because I think you're among one of the most respected boxers in the sport.
I mean, I'm just grateful. The thing about it is I'm grateful. And I don't ever judge myself for what people have said. I've always just given it to people. Like, say, you're one of the best fighters. I'm like, wow, thank you. You know, I don't really go and say, man, I'm pretty dope or whatever. You know what I'm saying? What I do is just I'm grateful for it, you know, and however they're going to lead me or announce me to be a Hall of Famer or whatever it may be, you know, at that moment, then I'll celebrate. But, you know, I've learned to kind of just be here in that moment and just kind of just be grateful for hearing those words, you know, those kind words. And that's just always been me in staying in the moment.
I think anytime your name is mentioned, you're always a very well-respected fighter. There's not one thing bad said about you. And even during the Obali fight, when the rounds were going on, they're like, is this going to be his last one? How is he going to perform? Especially with your wife as a trainer in the corner, like a lot of moving parts going on. And you sure showed us, my God. They're like, there is no retirement in it for you anytime soon. I mean, winning the WBC strap once again at your age. And I remember, I think it was Al Bernstein was like, you're just one of those men that everyone just loves to watch you fight. What you did for him in the ring, because a lot of doubters, a lot of naysayers, you shut them up. You shut them up, and it was nice that you gave so much credit to her. And I remember just sitting at home crying. I was like, oh my God, my people and a female. It was like, you know, because you don't see that. You always see the women, the wives or the girlfriends, they come up after, or they're never in the ring, but they're just hugging. But for you to be able to get awarded the belt along with your new belt also, that's you just made history. Like, will we ever see that again? We don't know, with another boxing couple.
Right.
Well, the thing about it is, I'm not gonna take all the credit for this because it really truly comes to her. This is all her credit, you know. As much as she has this accolades now, it wasn't always like that. It was always that, you know, the mentality and the judgment that women don't belong in the boxing world, right? Even for me in the past, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. You know, it was always like that. I'm like, even though it's legit, what she's saying, you know, and so with failures and numerous walls that she has to overcome, she stayed on. And when it came to dire situation for me, I always looked into her direction for advice, you know, and then it came to a realization that, you know, she's very, very important to my game plan, to what I do, you know, and but the thing is, she's never given up just because I told her that she shouldn't be here or she shouldn't do that, or a lot of people telling her that, you know, you don't belong in this, you know, but that's her effort, and that's her confidence in herself, you know, that she never gave up, and now that people can see that, you know, it inspired a lot of women to be who they are, because it doesn't matter, you know, ultimately it doesn't matter. It's what you can do and what you're capable of is what matters most.
It takes a lot of bravery on your part too, to even trust your wife and champion your wife like that, because as you said, a lot of people don't want women in the sport of boxing, and for you to take a stand and say, hey, my wife is in this role and you will respect her. And I'm sure you've taken a lot of flack privately and publicly about having your wife in this position.
I think the greatest thing for me, be it belts and success, is having my wife, because it allowed me to grow. Like, as much as you said, there's so many things that people can say and all of that stuff. It doesn't matter. You know, I came to grow on myself. I mean, it came to a point where a lot of things in my life was happening. You know, money was coming in, popularity. I was one of the best thing, and I played it in my head. You know, and me and her had our chaotic moment where we just couldn't see eye to eye. You know, but it allowed me, for her being a strong woman, allowed me to see myself. You know, and we went to our own difficulties in that, but because she was so strong in standing for herself, that it made me realize that I need to grow for myself. You know, and I learned to grow for myself. And that's why whatever people say or do, for me, I've learned to just, you know what, your opinion is your opinion, my opinion, and what I do with my wife and with my family is truly what matters for me.
Shout out to the Donaire household.
I know, right?
Strong union.
They're gonna move in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have our own whiteboards.
Exactly. I just need a sleeping bag, a little corner, and I'll be cool.
What I do like about it is that, it's already hard enough that you're a married couple and all the roles that you have to take on. And she takes takes on more roles because you're the full-time fighter, but she's also the trainer. She's also the kids. She's taking care of the kids. She's doing everything. And what I really like, what a lot of people will say is that the woman has their place. And what I like what Rachel did is that she made her place. Mm-hmm. She 100%. Made her place in where, in your camp, in where she stands with everyone. And people respect that. Cause I remember when I would see you at fights, I'm like, I'm going to go interview Nonito. And you'd be like you'll be standing off to the side with friends or just talking. And you're like, he's over there. And usually the girls would always be kind of like off to the side, but always want to be in the mix. Mm-hmm. You're like, you're claustrophobic. So you don't even like to be in the mix. And now it's just,
I have to drag her. I'm like, come here. I might need your answers.
Yeah. And it's good that you let him do his thing and he lets you do your thing. And then as a team, you do both of your things and then we see the results.
Yeah. I think that's the best thing is that he acknowledges that I have this anxiety about being, if I don't mentally prepare myself for a crowd and I just feel like I can't breathe. And, for a long time with the crowds at the fights, like he's like, we have to be there. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but I can't breathe. And I'd walk away. And so that's part of where a lot of people were like, she's such a bitch because I would walk away, but they literally didn't know that I couldn't breathe. And he's been, so great at telling people that, and standing by my decision that it's not that I don't want to interact with anyone. It's because of that whole anxiety issue. And he's never had to apologize or make an excuse for it. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. You talk about anxiety and the mental health. And we've talked to a lot of fighters about mental health. And it's not spoken about too much. But since now you're in this role and you have, and also Nonito, you obviously go through the depression. You go through all the feelings. How do you guys deal with your mental health issues separately and together as a family?
Well, for me, because of the time that I learned for myself, I went to many seminars to kind of figure out who I am, with when we were having our issues, I came to realize who I am in moments that, there's things that we go through, and we don't even know why we're feeling the way that we do. And so I started to research a lot of that stuff, and it comes down to what we eat, because it creates hormones to our brains that triggers how we're going to think, right? And then being healthy, it's also one thing, having the proper rest. All of this stuff encompasses our emotion and how we can create a healthy mindset, and it all becomes a choice, and for me, I learned to do all of that stuff, to eat healthy, to have good rest, to have healthy mindset where I can be strong at any moment in time because of the fact that what I do is my path, it's my choice. No one can take that away from me, and of course, again, a big shout out to her because she's the one that led me to do my own research, to do my own thing. And so when it comes down to a lot of things, we communicate. And don't get me wrong, it's never sunshine and butterflies and rainbows and stuff like that. We'll have our arguments and stuff like that, and it's like the end of the world, and it's just thunders and whatever, you name it, but then we learn to communicate, because now it's not just about us, it's about our kids too. We don't want them to react. Now we want them to talk about something, and that's why when we do our own thing, we talk about that, and sometimes when it comes down to it, I come to a point where your perspective and my perspective may not go together, and she's gonna fight for it, you know, and I'm not willing to fight for that. So I'm just gonna be like, I know what I am, I know what I think about, and I'm gonna let you have your perspective so that we can avoid all of this turmoil, and therefore we can teach our kid to love each other instead, you know. So that's something that she had brought me into this path of enlightenment for me.
I think with both of us, with the kids, is what we're trying to. You know, we're both still growing ourselves, but being able to show them that they're, you know, that we're growing, that we're not the perfect individuals. And I think within that, we always take time out. Like I said, Thursday's usually our Whole Foods date. And talking. There's times you have to respect each other's boundaries and them as a person, because you married a person, not a property. And that encompasses their mind and their emotions. And there are times, like after a long work day, he'll want to cuddle or things like that, and I'm like, I just need to decompress, keep the energy to myself right now, because I can't give any more to you. And I'll tell him that. I'll say, I just need a couple hours, or maybe I just need a day, and we'll spend more like touchy feely things tomorrow. Because the thing is he's such a high on his love language is about touch.
I'm a very touchy touchy person, you know. That's right. So, but it came to a point where like she said, it's not an ownership, you know. It's a partnership. It's a respect for both sides, you know. And so when she does it, there's no need for an explanation for me of why. But of course I have to say why. I'm like, why do you have to say why? I don't know. I just have to say why. That's why, even though I know already, you know. And but again, it's ultimately coming down to the communication between me and her. You know, the world in itself is changing, and every man and woman has to change in that way. We all got to do it, because in the past, man, it was always about me, you know. I need this, I need that, you know. And now that she's doing her own thing, she has her own business and the kids and all of that stuff, I try to catch her as much as I can. Like say, okay, the dishes is not done, and she usually would do it, or she would do the laundry. Like today, I've done all of that stuff because I know she was busy, you know. And for me to get myself out of that, I mean, before it would be like, I gotta count. I mean, I did dishes. Oh man, I did the vacuum. You know, I count. What happens is you're doing it for a reason, you know. But compared to doing it to help each other, and I think that's something that this is why we what is it that you said, the rooted tree. Right, the
Which
rooted
way
tree.
the wind blows, the tree will remain rooted.
Right, the tree will remain is because no matter how hard the wind will blow, is because we have established this root and this foundation that will never be shook in any way, shape, or form, because we will always catch each other.
Do you guys do a podcast together?
Yeah.
I feel like we
do,
need to switch sides, because
I know.
marital advice, parenting
Right?
advice, how to work with your partner.
Yeah.
We do it. It just got kind of hijacked with the drama in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So we got to.
I mean, it's just more of a live thing. We just kind of talk with people and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But for me, my purpose, I believe my purpose is to not so much as educate, but to show the masculine energy, that you don't need to be hypey and to be doing this or to be doing that, because according to the tradition you have to act this way. No, according to your heart you have to act this way.
Yeah.
It's not about what people say or do. It's about what your heart tells you to do. It's what the divine masculinity is all about.
All right, down with toxic
know,
masculinity.
my goodness.
Educate them, champ.
I know.
Educate the men.
And the thing is, I don't need to prove anything. And this is the beauty of me, is that I don't have to prove anything. And this is why I think I'm in this level of consciousness, is because I don't have to prove to anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, you may like me, you may don't dislike me, or whatever it may be. That's your perspective, and that's your journey for growth for yourself. You know, however it is. But for me, I'm gonna speak what I am, or what my truth is.
Yeah. Do you guys meditate? Do you do
I do a lot of
transcendental
meditation.
meditation?
She doesn't do too much. She does a lot of manifestation, but
Yeah?
I do a lot of meditation. Like I do about, when I wake up in the morning, I do about an hour, and when I
You
sleep,
meditate an hour?
yeah. So,
wow.
I can barely get 10 minutes in. My God, I do
Well-
the headspace, but
Well, it depends on what meditation you're going for, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's about quietness now. For me, you know, for a while it was just gratitude. You
Yeah.
know, so I go into a level of silence now. You know, and then once I establish the silence and the nothingness in my brain, in my heart, in who I am, oneness in the universe,
Yeah.
then I go into gratitude. Gratitude of all the things that I have, because gratitude is such a powerful thing for your heart to assimilate your manifestation, So then I go into manifestation from that point on. So it takes me about an hour more.
Is it guided? Are you listening to something?
No, I do it
Or
on
you
my
just
own.
you just retreat into your own head?
I just listen to binaural beats. I like theta brainwaves so that
Yeah.
I'm in both in the level of consciousness and sleeping.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm in that realm of getting into my subconscious.
Wow, that takes that takes a lot of
That
practice.
is brilliant.
I'd fall asleep, honestly.
I'm
But
like
sometimes,
you.
but sometimes when you do fall asleep, doesn't mean that you're not
You're not in deep
assimilating
sleep.
yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So wherever you're thinking, like say for instance, you're thinking of gratitude, right, and you fall asleep, doesn't mean that you've forgotten everything.
Yeah.
That means you're going through that motion, So there's no wrong way for it, and don't ever feel bad about falling asleep, because our consciousness is doing what it's supposed to be doing,
Okay.
Like,
Wow, Nonito, I didn't know. I mean, I've never heard you speak. I don't think anyone's ever heard you
I know, I
speak like
haven't.
this. But wow, I'm so, I'm so flabbergasted
I'm
right
blown
now.
away. I was so prepared to come in and talk to you
About your
sparring with Angela Lee. I was looking at your social media and being a clean athlete. But I'm so intrigued about your journey into your mind and your meditation. What were the early days? How did you even arrive at that to begin doing that? Because a lot of fighters say, oh, I did yoga during camp to
Yeah.
help me prepare. But how did you even arrive to this point of inner peace and just training yourself to do that?
I mean, it's. I've always been very connected to I guess the spiritual. I've always been an introvert, so I've always just. I mean, growing up, I was always bullied. There was a time in my life where my grandfather beat the crap out of me. I love him. I love him. He passed already, but I love him, and he's always loved me. But that was the way he showed discipline. And then in that moment, part of myself became part of the darkness in me. And I just didn't like people. Or in to rephrase that, I just want to be alone.
Yeah.
And so I was always in my head. I was always have my philosophy in my head, and that's how I've always grown up to be. And then it came to a point where me and her got into our turmoil. And I actually walked into the courtroom to file divorce.
I drove you there, and I dropped
She drove
you
me
off.
there.
Oh.
She drove me off.
Wow.
Yeah, she drove me there.
Was your marriage that bad? Okay, so you guys have been married 14 years, 15 years?
Yeah.
Did you think that you guys got married too young?
No, it was never about love. That's the problem. It's never about love. It was myself and my ability to please everyone. I wanted to please everybody. I want everybody to like me because I grew up doing everything for everybody. Like I got to a boxing because I wanted to make my dad proud
That's
of
normal.
me.
That's
You know?
that boxers. That's normal.
Right.
To feed
So-
your family and everything.
Yeah, and everything that I did was for everybody else. And that's why I couldn't answer that question. And then it came to a point where I love what I did. I answered my purpose. I answered everything that was asked of me. And now, what was I supposed to do from this point on? I'm making money. I'm doing this. I've done everything else, but there was something missing, And I've always been a very spiritual person, but there was something missing, and I felt like, at that time, I didn't know that my spirituality needed to be fulfilled. I've done everything from physical to everything else. I've done everything, and so we came to that point where she drove me to the courtroom.
And dropped you off.
Yeah, dropped me
Damn.
off.
And gave him the key.
Threw the key at me, and walked to the bus stop.
Oh.
Because there was no Uber yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're dating
so
ourselves
I
again.
walked into the courtroom or the building, and the receptionist was like, "You need to go out of this room, out of this building, and go to the next building." And I walked out of that building, and I guess that was my interruption of thoughts that allowed me to step back a little bit. I'm like, I don't believe in this. Why am I here? I love my wife. I still love her. Why am I here? And then I walked to the bus stop, and I was like, give me another chance. Give me a year to figure this out. And if I don't change by then we can continue with it. And then that's when I went and she signed me up for Tony Robbins. She signed me up for all this other stuff. She's done a lot of stuff for me. I read a lot of books. I spent a lot of time understanding myself. And then when I met people, there was a lot of people that were very spiritual, and that kind of flowed me in that direction. And that's how I got into the spiritual realm. And then from that point on, I just started to expand myself mentally, emotionally, aligning myself, mind, body, and spirit, because, all for love, I guess.
Oh, now with all of this, I mean, let's fast forward, since now you found yourself, you found you found yourself with spirituality, you figured it out, not completely. Does your calling now tell you, because we're now going to start talking about your career, because because it's even throughout the whole time you've made money, and you guys were having problems at home. Mm-hmm. You obviously weren't fulfilled in spiritually. So all those wins and you fighting for your family, and now you're here. You were supposed to retire. Does your spirit tell you keep fighting? You're gonna fight another 10 more years? Does your mind tell you that? Your mind, heart, body, and soul tell you that?
What was it? My mind is telling me no, but my body's telling me yes.
Was that the song that was was that the one you guys danced to? Your first dance, bump and grind.
No, my mind is telling me that my perception of time no longer exists. Okay. So meaning that what I tell myself and what I tell my body is the connection that I have within myself. Meaning that if I speak to my body the way I want my body to be done, meaning that what I am is my creation.
Yeah.
Therefore, however I see myself, I become.
Okay.
So time no longer exists, and I think this is why I'm performing so much more.
Yeah.
Because there is no more, I'm not dragging my feet anymore, or I don't got back aches or knee aches or stuff like that. I just let go of all of that stuff. And I think this is the power that we have, is when we can connect our mind, body, and spirit in alignment, we can connect to our ways that we can speak to our body.
It's like you're Benjamin Button.
For real.
Right? The fighters are aging and everything's breaking. It's like, okay, I'm done. But you've been in some absolute wars. And usually it's like your body's telling you no more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But your body's telling you yes.
Yeah. I'm about to start grinding again.
I mean, just looking at you.
Right?
Your skin,
It's that Filipino thing, though. Remember that?
Okay. Brown doesn't break down. Okay.
So, I think that ultimately it's the mindset.
Yeah.
However you're going to be is how strong your mind can be. Meaning that your physical is only as good as your mind can make it to be. When you start, to be honest with you, I don't think I've been in this tremendous shape or this tremendous physical level in my 20s or 30s or early 30s, because I'm just on a different level. I just don't get tired anymore, and the more that it hurts, in terms of like, I'm getting tired, the more that I go and push it further. Wow. And I think that because I start to connect with my body more and start to respect my body in that way, but ultimately with me and my mindset is what strengthened who I am.
Do you ever try to impart that wisdom on to people who are around you in the gym, like Angela Leo? And
yes,
are they receptive to it? Because sometimes that inner peace and knowledge of self is too much for people,
right?
Because
they think I'm crazy.
Like,
yeah, they think
exactly.
They're like, oh, he's one of those hoity-toity granolas, like.
Right. But the generation now is acceptance of the energy. They believe in energy now. So Angelo is actually a really good kid. He has a great mind who accepts wisdom from other people. And he takes in whatever he takes in. Because I impart a lot of my wisdom to people who are willing to listen. However you're gonna take it, however you're gonna assimilate it, that's all on you. For me, if I can share something, if I can give something, I want to give to others.
Okay. Well, fast forward to June 7th, because your wife, she said there is a fight. You're having this rematch with Inoue in Japan. When you talk about your body, you're fit, you're ready for this. Are you ready for this to go back into the ring with Monster?
I think I'm more than ready for this. That's the most amazing thing about it now, is that when I came into the fight, I came in there to just fight.
In 2019.
Now I'm coming into this fight to win.
Okay, so back to what you said when in the corner, I'm going to ask you, What was going on with you during that fight, the Inoue fight? I mean, you did not do bad by any means. You gave him one hell of a fight. You rocked him.
That fight was fantastic.
My God, it was. We still talk about that
Fantastic.
fight. But what did you think of that? What was your corner telling you, since you had your dad and then your other trainer telling you two different things?
There was a lot of things going on. My dad would tell me this. My dad or Kenny would tell me all this other stuff. Throw the right, and my dad throw the left.
Oh, my goodness.
In my language, and then I came to a point where like he's telling me to throw a body shot, and then Kenny's telling me to throw the right, and I was like, so I throw it to the right, and then he's like trying to talk to me, so. The whole fight, I was throwing the wrong body shot that they wanted me to throw because of all this mixture of instructions.
Did Basil ever just say, well, he was in the corner with you, did he just kind of say, both of you shut up? Like, one has to talk?
Well, Basil's, he's one of those guys that will not want to step on people's foot,
Got it. That makes sense.
Because at the same time, these guys are very knowledgeable in what they do. What Baz does is, he's an amazing cut
man, yeah.
And these guys are trainers, they spend time with me, so he didn't have the right to speak on anyone else's behalf.
Painting this whole picture, and then when we talked to Rachel, she mentioned that you would look at her and you would seek her out, and it's almost like she was throwing you a lifeline. It's like you needed that singular voice. It was just there the whole time.
I mean, I'm grateful for all of those turmoil and all those experiences, because it led me to respect what she has to say.
Yeah.
And again, going back into it, it was just more of like, just don't speak, blah, blah, blah. Now I came to realize that she was really, really good at what she does. And so with that and the whole thing, the Obali fight and all that stuff, that we got to connect. But even before that, I've always looked at her to see if she was stressed, or if she was, she was my
you knew just by that.
Yeah, so that's pretty
Wasn't
much.
it the conception fight? I think it was like the 8th round or something. They flashed me on.
And I look up and I was like, is she stressed? And then we just barely started dating and all that stuff.
2009.
Yeah.
1 year after we got married.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You guys are the epitome of happy wife, happy
I know,
life.
happy wife, happy life.
Well, it has to be both ways, right? In all circumstances, it has to be both ways, where you have to be happy, where you don't give yourself, because in all the journey that I went, I came to love myself.
Yeah.
And I think loving ourselves is the key to expanding our love to everybody else. Because beyond that, is you're giving. But if you go and pass yourself out, you just drain yourself of everything that you are, because you're giving and you're not giving enough for yourself. A lot of times, especially for women, a lot of guys, they take. For women, they give and give. You guys nurture.
Yeah, we're
you guys
nurturers.
nurture, but you guys don't nurture yourself enough, meaning that you guys don't love yourself enough. Because looking at this, I would do everything for my wife.
Oh.
I would
As
do
you
everything. I would do everything for a person, because women are very powerful. Without women, we are nothing. There's no continuation of
I was just gonna say, we bear all of you guys.
Yes.
We bear kids.
and that's the problem with history, is that it allowed women to be they what's the word?
Minimize.
They were
them.
minimized by men.
Powerful people, yeah.
And as much as I'm saying all this stuff, women, the only reason that I want women to be powerful is because it makes men powerful.
Yeah.
This is why I'm so powerful, because I have wonderful, powerful women behind me.
Your sons are young. So how do you start that messaging with them at this age? Because it's a process to start teaching them, obviously they respect and they love their mother.
First, when because there's times that she would say something and my son would react. I'm like, come here, boy. Let me talk to you. Never, ever talk to your mom that way. You always talk to her with love, because she does so many things for you and me and everybody else. I need you to respect her. I need you to love her. And I need you to voice your concern in love. So that's something that I've always is a rule in my home, is to respect the women.
And I think I think we don't give kids a lot of credit. They see You know, they see, and people are like, they're too young to even know what we're talking
Oh
about.
no, they're
They
not.
see
They
everything.
know everything.
And I noticed one day that, you know, we were watching, God, what was it? I know we were watching Princess and the Frog, and then I think we watched Maleficent. And because my niece was there and she was 3. So we were watching all these, and Jarrell, after it, looked up at me, goes, Mama, we watched Raya, we watched all these movies. I'm like, uh-huh. And he goes, why is it always, how come Raya and all of them don't have to get kissed by a prince to save them?
Wow.
And I was like, because Raya comes from like Mama's era, which is very strong women, where the other ones, that doesn't exist anymore. But he's seeing, like, watching these videos that, oh, so guys are supposed to ride in on a horse and save a
and
woman, and
save
she
her.
couldn't
Yeah.
save herself. Where the new generation of cartoons are giving women
Very
this
different.
power, and we
Ooh.
don't have to have a romantic connection. So I do want to emphasize that we always want to show our best foot to them on how to treat, for how to accept love from a woman, and also how to give love and respect the other gender and people in general. They don't see us, you know, mouthing off to people, and we talk and give our example to them, as well as treat them the exact same way. When they are in the gym, they shake hands, eye contact, and, you know,
Yes.
introduce themselves properly. So it's really about repetition, pattern, and showing them the best examples.
And the thing too is that the first and foremost that we teach is how to love themselves, because, you know, when you start to, because there's just something, I don't know if it is DNA or whatever it may be, you know, there's always this level of inferiority with kids, you know. I'm like, I'm not good enough. I'm like, come here, baby, you are amazing, okay? You are amazing. You're the most wonderful kid, and you do your best, and that's okay. When we make learning lessons, I don't say mistake, because I always say learning lessons. We'll learn, and that's okay, you know. But I learn because I used to be reactive, because I was always taught to boom,
Yeah.
you know, when you do something wrong.
Yeah,
But
you
that
get a
was
palo.
yeah, but that was my own version. That was my own perspective. That was my own mirror, you know. And I came to realize that that's something that I need to change for myself, you know. And then I came to that point with my kids, you know, that, you know, what you are, you know. I keep telling them too. I'm like, at night I'm like, Jay, thank you for teaching me. I just tell them like, what do you mean teaching you? You always teach me, son. You always teach me how to love you. You always teach me patience, and I want to say thank you for that. Like I just go out there to say that, you know. But it allows them to see that they are you know, I'm thankful for them,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
It is. I can feel you. Like my child is quite a bit older than you guys' kids. She's 18, and I can relate to that too, because I too had punitive parents. You know, and you're little, you get a spanking or
Right.
whatever it is, and I was very against that with my own child, of her growing up and reinforcing that you're beautiful and just
Right.
all those things. And it's so necessary, because people, when they feel they're loved, they act with intention, and they feel like they have something to lose, and they're not just reckless and just doing things without regard for other people. So very admirable. I completely agree with that style.
My God, I'm learning a lot from you since I'm a new parent. I'm like,
Your
okay.
baby's still little, so
I know,
it's all
right?
good.
Okay, well, we got to go back to this
Let's
fight.
do it, let's do
we
it.
Have, okay, you
Fight
just
game,
said,
fight game,
you
fight
just
game.
said, I know, segue, but you just said that you were just there to fight the first
Yes.
fight. What's different now?
We're
Well-
bringing our gloves.
Oh, you didn't
Well-
bring what?
Well,
He
that let her
didn't-
speak
You
on
forgot
that.
your gloves?
No,
They-
he did. The gloves were damaged, and we don't know how they were, but they were damaged.
Don't you have to bring like 3 or 4 sets?
They only brought us 2.
Who's they?
I don't know.
No. What kind of gloves were they?
Everlast.
Oh,
So
Everlast,
he always
okay.
fights in Everlast MX.
Okay.
Or sorry, Elites now. MX is what he used to. So it's always been Everlast, like all throughout, except before Everlast it was Reyes, and then these ones came damaged, and both pairs were unusable. He couldn't switch them out. Nothing.
So where'd you get the gloves and who gave them to you?
Inoue's extra pair that
No.
were winnings. and he doesn't like wearing winning.
What is it about? I mean, I know for your hand, okay, I'm not going to say it was because of the gloves.
I love
No,
the
no,
glove
no.
gate.
I do too. Yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
I love glove
Hello.
Break it down
Terry,
for us.
Deontay Wilder. But did that affect your game? Did it feel?
100%, because with the gloves, like with the Everlast, I can close my hand. So the more tighter that I can close my hand, the more fortified and my muscles are aligned.
Mm-hmm.
But if your hands are like this and you can't close it properly,
Mm-hmm.
then it limits. I mean, you still can hit hard, but it limits your capabilities I guess your potential of your power.
Okay, so I mean, you were throwing some bombs. Both of you were throwing bombs. You hurt him, so I don't think the gloves were that bad.
I don't look at the gloves. I don't look at any of that stuff,
Yeah.
But I just go in there and do what I need to do. But I want to secure what my gloves are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know what I'm capable of. I came in there to fight, but now I'm coming in there to win.
Okay, now, sorry, I'm like because I watched your fight this morning. And we were talking about you fainting and using the head movement. Now, since motion. Oh yeah, motion. Forgot. When you were training with her for even Ubali and even for this fight, as you're continuing to train, do you see the difference in your style, in your body? Are you actually learning to do the things that you were lacking?
Yep, 100%. If you see the Ubali fight or even the Gabayo fight, I came in there with a game plan. It's a whole different story. Like, I'm setting up. I'm using a lot of this stuff. I'm seeing things, I'm very patient. I'm not there to just go and brawl and see if I can take you out. That's the difference between the mentality now and the mentality then was, I'm coming in there to win. I'm coming in there with so many game plans, not just to hit you, not just to anything like that. I'm here to win the fight. That's I think that's the biggest thing for me going into this is the confidence level is different.
I have a question about just going back to the glove, not a glove gate thing, but just a whole
starting something.
No, just from an educational standpoint. So you mentioned that you like the Everlast gloves because you can close your hands.
Close my hand, yes.
And in the other style, you cannot make.
There's a bigger distance or
like here, I
space.
have my glove. Here, let me get
So under what circumstance would I mean, that's not your style. Why would a fighter like a style that prohibits them from closing their hand completely?
Well, a lot of it, like, it's defensive style.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it protects your hand when you don't close the fist all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it might work on their hands properly compared to your hands. Mm-hmm. For me, winning is good for training, but fighting is not so good for me because I can't close them properly. Now, maybe he has a stronger grip or a bigger hand, or then that might.
Is this the part that you're talking about, that it was too thick?
No, it's the in between.
Oh,
right?
the in between right there.
So when you go in, and then so like the thing is here, and even I don't have a wrap on it, right? Mm-hmm. But that's already I'm going like this already. Now with the Everlast, I can really close my hand properly where I can tighten up my forearms.
Your grip, to throw.
So
interesting.
So to me, I don't mind. I don't really care too much about all that stuff because it all comes down to how I'm gonna perform in terms of my skills, mm-hmm. my game plan. Because all of that can be thrown away if I have a better game plan.
Right.
I would have won that fight.
Thank you for explaining, because these are the kind of nuances I don't see a lot of fighters talking about. We just hear, oh, I don't like this glove, that glove, I have this sponsor, that sponsor, but no one really talks about the actual technical, what's happening in there. You know, we know a lot of it's timing and all those things, but I didn't know that.
I know, because whenever we see when you guys are trying on gloves, you're trying on like a ton of gloves. I'm thinking, well, it's the same damn glove, but apparently some of them are just made a little different.
Different inside, different the way the thumb and the fingers have to kind of connect together. Mm-hmm. Again, you want to maximize when you go into a fight. You want to maximize what's good for you. You
Yeah.
know, does it make a difference? It probably might not be, or it might. You know, depends on how it is. Because ultimately, it's your game plan, how you're gonna win, and how you're gonna come into the fight. That wins the fight, not the gloves.
I like how you clarified that, because no one will know that unless they are a professional fighter,
Yeah.
and what difference that makes.
Yeah.
You know, people do it for, you know, exercise or whatever, but until you're there to compete,
It's
you're
like,
not going to know.
It's like having the shoes, right? And I'm like, oh, this shoe doesn't fit right, you know, or this shoes is kind of wide, or this shoes is kind of skinny, or whatever it may be, right? You want to perform at a level where you're very, very comfortable with it. You know, it's like, it's, you know, when you walk into, I guess, for women, when they're trying on something, I guess the bra or something, I'm like, you know, I don't know. I mean, she always tells me, I'm like, how does it feel? I'm like, how does it feel for you? You know, I don't know. It looks good on me. You know, it looks good on.
It looks good.
You know, but how does it feel for you? It's like ultimately how you're gonna feel for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
like that is what counts, because it's all in here.
Yeah, and I think that's the same. Like you were saying,
She's
about
all
the
like-
shoe.
I'm like, I don't know.
You talking about your wife, so
I know.
that's a whole, you
Out
know.
of randomness, bra? Really? That's what you came
Well,
up with?
you have
I
to be
know.
comfortable.
Of all things,
You know, comfortable.
It matters.
It matters.
It matters.
All right.
There you go. See,
it's
But
the
it's
love
like-
we talk
language.
about that all the time.
It's that love language of his.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
Nonito, because
Nikes
we
and
got to
stuff.
wrap soon. Damn. But okay.
Y'all
the
gotta
thing-
come
I know,
back.
because I know people are going to be like, you guys talked way too much about other stuff, but because they want to hear about Inoue, because this is a rematch. People are going to be tuning in at 2, 3 in the morning. I was
I
just
am.
showing your wife. This is what I showed your wife earlier. Where's my clock?
Her alarm.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah. And I even posted it. It was like, wake the fuck up, wake up. It was like increments. I'm like, oh my God. But Inoue, I want to, you know, everyone knows him as the monster. I mean, I remember interviewing him when he first made his US debut under Tom Loeffler. Everyone is scared of that right hand. You sure damn took it. I mean, you got dropped by it, but honestly, be honest about his power. What did you think it was going to be harder than that, stronger than that, or what were your thoughts?
He can hit hard. I can hit hard too, but he can hit hard. You know, he has a good pop in that right hand. You know, it was the body that dropped me.
Yeah.
But that right, it's strong. But I think I got a stronger one. You know,
Yeah.
and this is me being a fighter. You know, throwing out all the spirituality out. You know,
Yeah.
like I got what it takes. I got what it takes to take it all. I got what it takes to give it all. You know, and I'm coming out victorious in this fight.
How far ahead of the fight do you guys want to be there in Japan? When do you plan on, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What is a proper acclimation period for you?
I mean, for this fight, like, well, the first one we had gone to the Philippines first. And
Oh, okay. So it's
for
right
a month,
there, yeah.
right? Because it's only an hour time difference, so already on that side, and then it only takes 5 hours. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that again
Especially with COVID.
because of COVID. So
Yeah.
yeah, US is fine, we're cool, but if they put a sanction where if you're
Whoever's
coming
coming out
from
of
the
the
Philippines,
Philippines, yeah.
that you'll get quarantined based on location of
Yeah.
origination, then we're screwed.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, do we really want to take that chance? If not, then you know we'll keep camp here, and then at the least would be 2 weeks in Japan.
Has there ever been a thought that maybe the fight could be moved from Japan to somewhere that the quarantine wouldn't be as bad?
I think with the business aspect of it,
Yeah.
the amount of people. I'll just tell you, the first one with Inoue, the ringside tickets were 1,005. For ringside tickets, that stadium was filled.
You know what? Watching that fight, when you watch boxing in Japan, it's like,
it's
Yeah, it's like
golf.
yeah.
it was like, but then watching your fight, it just got progressively louder
Yeah.
and louder. I'm like, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
There's the fans, but it's just like,
Yeah, for a while it's always been like that.
Yeah, when we went to, I think we went to the Kometa Brothers fight on Christmas Day,
Yeah.
like years before that, and we were like, yeah, and
Yeah.
you just see everyone go, we're like, were we not supposed to do that? Just sit my hands down here.
They're like that for all sport, even like wrestling, pro wrestling too.
Yeah.
It's a lively sport, and they're just
Yeah.
like
so respectful.
very nice.
We got to wrap them. I'm so sad.
I am too. You guys got to come back. For
I
real.
know this is great because I mean, my God, there's so much more to talk about with you guys. But I mean, the one thing that we want to talk about was obviously your wife, how this all came about, and we can't wait to see how you're gonna perform in the ring with your wife in the corner as the
Excited.
only voice to take on the monster once again.
This is exciting.
You said you're going to win. Can you predict a knockout?
I always go for one, but I don't mind if it does go to a decision. But I'm gonna give it all I got. You know, it's just how I am. I don't really try to give it to anybody else to decide my faith
Yeah.
or my fate.
Real fast.
Okay.
Do you watch women's boxing?
I do, you know, because she watches a lot of it, and I watched a lot of it too, and you know, she has a lot of input when it comes down to this, you know, or to it. So we it's just like any other boxing matches.
Okay, real fast. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano.
What are you
Who wins?
asking me? You ask her. She.
Okay, you
we
say it.
want
Ready?
both.
1, 2, 3. Katie Taylor.
I'm not gonna say nothing. All right. Okay. I said the same thing too because I think it depends on. There's so many to explain, right? So if Taylor comes in and uses her boxing skills instead of brawling in there, I think that she can win the fight.
Yeah.
You know, if she goes in there and brawl it, I think Serrano's gonna take it to her.
Yeah.
You know, depends on how she can be. I mean, she's very volume, but I think that she can win on decision.
Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall.
With Clarissa, I can't because I'm familiar with her, but I'm not too familiar with the other lady.
Yeah.
You know, other girl. You know, I see what she does, and she's very, very confident, and confident is great mental health.
Yeah. Well, you do watch. See, you're like, I don't really watch boxing. Yes, you do. You do.
Sometimes.
You just don't want to say. It's all right. But Nonito, thank you so much. Rachel, thank you guys so much for coming in. I mean, we got, like we said, boxing royalty has joined our table.
Oh, I loved it. I loved every moment.
Y'all
of it.
coming
Thank
back.
you, thank
Y'all
you,
coming back
100%.
even before your fight, after your fight. Our doors are open. And then even like maybe before the women. Oh no, wait. Yeah, before the women's fight. Come on back. We want to get some input on her from her.
Oh, she can break it down like.
Ooh, we like
She
that.
can break it down. She can break it down. You know?
She might get a new client coming up. in here
Right?
talking about
You never
that.
know. You never know. Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap this edition of the Best Women's Boxing Show,
Follow this
period.
guy.
Follow Nonito Donaire. I think all your socials are going to appear. And June 7th, you guys, what is it on? Is it
ESPN Plus?
ESPN
Yes,
Plus?
yeah.
Oh, ooh, love. That's going to be one fire fight. I can't wait to see. And I can't wait to see you in the ring.
Me too.
We're going to be cheering you on at 3 in the morning
Okay.
on a Tuesday.
Mabu Hai.
Mabu. Yeah, she
There
knows
you
it.
go.
Mabu.
That's it.
Okay, well, another one is in the can. Thank you for joining again, Best Women's Boxing Show, period. Tune in to all of our shows. Like, share, subscribe to our YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and we got a TikTok, you guys.
And we're not dancing on it either.
We ain't shaking our asses, not just yet.
Yes.
All right, Jeandra, thank you again.
Thank you,
My
Cynthia
twin.
Conte.
I know, we're going to say our own names. I'm Cynthia Conte.
And I'm Jeandra LeBeauf.
See you guys at the fights. Bye, guys.